Hello, everybody. This is Brenda with Team Puerto Rico at DNAngels, coming at you with another client story. Now, this client story is my most memorable of 2024. Now, Michelle was helping her father, Frank, find his bio dad. He had learned that his parents, who raised him all his life, was actually his grandparents, and that the person that he knew as his older sister was actually his bio mother. So if his sister was his bio mother, then who was his father? This he didn't know because his sister was not around to ask. She had passed away when she was a young girl, and she had had him very young, at about 16 years old. So he asked his grandparents, who they thought was his bio father. And they gave him a name. And that name was Max Martinez. Michelle was ecstatic because when she was looking through the basement, she came across this little baby bracelet. And in it, it had the initials of the bio mom, and it had the initials Max. And when she was looking through the high school yearbook, she saw that there was indeed a Max Martinez and that he lived close by. She reached out to his daughter because sadly, Max Martinez had also passed away. So when she approached the daughter, she said, "Hey, I got your dad's name, and he went to school with my grandmother, and I think that he may be my dad's dad. Would you be willing to take a test so that we can see if you and my dad are siblings? And that would prove that your dad is my dad's dad." So she went ahead and took a DNA test, and turns out, well, she was kind of a match, but a really distant match. So Michelle, she was very confused because the grandparents, which is actually her great-grandparents, they had given her a name. And she found the baby bracelet, she found the yearbook with that guy in her school, he lived in the neighborhood. She couldn't understand what was wrong with the DNA. So that's when she came to us. She relayed the story. She told us she'd been trying to figure out for a year and a half who the bio dad was. So when we got the case, we go ahead and we listen to the client when they provide us a name. And if it leads to that, great. But we follow the science. We follow the DNA. And within hours, I was able to tell her, "Hey, Michelle, guess what? I have an answer for you. It is indeed Max Martinez." And she was ecstatic. She was like, "See, I knew it. I knew it had to be Max Martinez." So I proceeded to tell her how we arrived at the conclusion. I gave her the information about her grandparents and one of her aunts. And talking about how this sister was the one that led us to Max Martinez. But she goes ahead and she goes, "I don't recognize those names." And I'm like, "What do you mean you don't recognize the names?" And she goes, "Max Martinez that I've been talking to for a long time, well, that's not his parents." And I'm like, "Well, this is your grandparents, and this grandparents had a son named Max Martinez, and I've got the siblings, and I've got the been verified reports, and I've got the Facebook link. So I know my Max Martinez is correct. Do you have a different Max Martinez?" And it turns out she sure did, because this Max Martinez, we had the right Max Martinez. So we provided her all the information. She was a little hesitant because she said she had already reached out to this Max Martinez. Not because she had DNA attached to him, she just was going around sending letters to every Max Martinez she could find in the area. And this Max Martinez, she knew, had received the letters, but never responded back. So we gave her the Facebook links of her aunts because we were able to find Facebook links for them. A lot of times it's mostly the women who will have social media. And who ended up reaching back to her was a niece of Frank. It would be his niece. And she said that she would approach her mother and have her decide what to do with this information because they were a little wary of approaching Max and letting him know, hey, you have a son out there and you have a granddaughter, Michelle, who's been trying to reach you. But lo and behold, they did go ahead and pass the information to, well, actually, Michelle sent another letter. And in combination with that letter and the information of the people that she had already contacted, he read the letter and he contacted her right away. And turns out that he did know that there was the possibility he had a child out there because he was the boyfriend of Frank's mother. And when she got pregnant, the grandmother who raised Frank as her own child, she scared him away, told him to leave, to not be in her daughter's life, and sent him on his way. And of course, back then, what the parents said, especially in Hispanic households, if they told you you need to stay away, well, you stayed away. If they had told him, well, you're going to marry her, but that's not what took place. So he knew that maybe this day would arrive. And what's really cool is they accepted Frank and Michelle. They go over to his house now for like big Mexican family meals. And Frank always loved Mexican food. And now he gets family to go ahead and cook it for him. And family has also been to Frank's and Michelle's. They've been spending holidays together. She sent me pictures of them together. And oh my God, when you see the pictures, all of them look exactly alike. The genes are strong in their family. And we even talk about their case in the podcast. It's our podcast, Lost and Found. And oh, shoot, I should have paid attention to which episode it was. But they're all there in the podcast. Frank, Max, Michelle. And they all talk about coming together and with this story. Is very lovely from each of their perspective. And their mannerisms are the same, and it's just lovely the way when they're talking, they're not like attempting to talk over each other. They compliment each other, and she's just a lovely young lady. She always kept me up to date, holidays, and she would let me see the pictures. And she and Frank have what we as search angels dream of. The kind of case where when we put the work in, it really does result in bringing the family together. And so this is my most memorable case because she had a name for the bio dad, but she was looking at the wrong guy the whole time. And we were able to find the right guy for her. So this was my most memorable case for 2024. And I'm hoping for continued love and happiness for Michelle, Frank, and Max. And hopefully in the coming year of 2025, we will have many other stories to tell you that will have this kind of lovely, happy ending. See you, everybody.